Human brains function like computer programs that run from birth to death. This program has been enriched with new words over millennia, but at its core, it's still a computer program. This also applies to animals, but they have instincts that they can develop for survival. Our brain is a machine with a pre-programmed system where we pick words from a registry when we converse from birth to death. The purpose of our brain's construction is for us to work with it, use our free will, and develop it. Instead, we often just follow the program and pick words from our registry, the computer program's archive. To use free will, we must start working with the brain, for example, by creating new words. The lower part of the brain functions like a hard drive spinning around with pre-programmed words. To start working with the upper part of the brain and create our own free will, we must leave the computer program. I gave an example to my old guide, Gray. She visited last winter and asked if I'd come up with anything new. I explained that one must work with the brain and leave the computer program. She asked how, and I replied that one must work with the brain. I explained the same thing for half an hour with slight variations each time, hundreds of times. She agreed but couldn't explain why it was true and asked again how. I replied that one must work with the brain. It's not just humans, but many beings who are stuck in their species' computer program. When working with the brain and free will, everything makes sense to the person you explain it to, but they can't say why, because they're retrieving answers from the computer program where free will doesn't exist. You can never explain why something is true if you try to get the answers from the computer program. So we continued, and I replied each time that one must work with the brain and not retrieve from the computer program. She asked how, and I explained that one shouldn't use the program but sit still and wait until a word appears and then use and develop it. That's when you use free will outside of the being's computer program. She sat quietly, and eventually a word appeared in her mind. Good, I said, develop it. That was from my very own personal guide, Kamjal's Planet. Kamjal is my female guide, who sometimes appears as a beautiful, transparent figure, while at other times she lives inside my body, and she has actually become a part of me through our spiritual connection. She comes from 15,000 light years into the future. When she got on the track of free will, thoughts flowed freely. Beings are locked into their brain programs until they open up free will. For the free will brain, there are no limitations, no death, only existence. In the future, there are beings who use the capacity of the free will brain. Sometimes I'm connected to this, which can be called an open program that is constantly developing. I can sit for hours and rattle off information that I don't understand. Thoughts and ideas just pour out. That's what the free program is.